Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan Culhane. I'm the president and CEO of the Ames Chamber of Commerce and the Ames Economic Development Commission. You might wonder why I'm standing in front of you, but I'm standing here this afternoon because we've got a wonderful contractual relationship with the City of Boone and the Boone County Economic Growth Corporation that we're very proud to serve in both of those capacities. And so that's why I'm here this afternoon. This is a wonderful crowd. When this thing kicked off a few months ago, we were hoping for 50 people, and I think we had over 150 people registered. So thank you all for being with us this afternoon. I'll be your MC, really to kick off this celebration of the upward trajectory of AgCertain Industries. Under the strong and intentional leadership of President and CEO Dan O and the team he has assembled, he talks about all the time, it's exciting to see the transformation of the operations here in Boone and the growth of meaningful employment opportunities and the significant capital investment. Today, we take stock of that positive momentum and learn more about that in a few moments. So thanks again for joining us. Of course, I've got a few distinguished guests and elected officials I'd like to pay special attention to today. Please join me in welcoming State Senator Jesse Green and State Representative Phil Thompson. Please give them a hand. I'm not certain if all the Boone County supervisors are here, but Steve Duffy, Eric Kretzinger, and Bill Zinnel. I know I saw Bill. Give them a hand. And of course, the City of Boone Council members Linda Williamson, David Bird, BJ McGinn, Eli Steins, and key staff members City Administrator Bill Scare and City Clerk and Finance Officer Andrea Elmquist. Please. We've got some folks from our federal office as well. I saw John Hollenrake here from United States Senator Joni Ernst's office, and Emily Schwickerath, Emily, representing United States Representative Randy Feenstra. Please join me in giving them a hand. I want to thank all of our elected officials for the leadership they provide and the service back to our communities. It's critically important. Folks, events like these matter. Economic development in our communities matters, which is why we pause today to learn more about the progress and vision for the future of AgCertain. One thing's very clear to me, AgCertain is committed to Boone and the state of Iowa, and for that we express our gratitude because with that commitment comes investment and meaningful employment opportunities, which are always good news. Let's get on with the program. The City of Boone, time and again, is a great partner in economic development, and they continue to work alongside of AgCertain. Joining us today on behalf of the city is City Council Member BJ McGinn to speak on behalf of the City of Boone. BJ. Come on down.
Thank you, Dan. Just as we get going here, the mayor apologizes for not being able to make it today. He had a prior commitment. Good afternoon, my name is BJ McGinn, and I currently serve as City Councilman for Ward 2 in the City of Boone. I chair the Policy and Administration Committee, as well as sit on the Economic Development Committee for the city. On behalf of Mayor Slight, the City Council of Boone, and the city staff, I want to thank you for the invitation to celebrate with AgCertain today. It's nice when a new company comes to town. It's even better when one that has a presence in your community decides that they like doing business here enough to make a further investment. Today we are celebrating a commitment to make further investment in Boone. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the contribution and vision of the Boone County Economic Growth Corporation Board of Directors and staff to support the certification of industrial land in Boone. Congratulations to Dan and team. Thank you.
BJ got the memo, short and to the point. Thanks, BJ. We're thrilled to next have Iowa's Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig, with us today. Secretary Naig is the 15th Secretary of Ag for our state and leads the department in a state where agriculture is a leading economic driver and clearly recognizes the powerful link of agriculture to companies like AgCertain engaged in food, agriculture, and bio-based product development. Please welcome Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to be able to join with all of you today to celebrate this. I thought that was a great way to put that, by the way. It's great when a company comes to town. It's great when a company that's here decides they like doing business here. That I think is a great way to characterize what's happening here. Something very good, something very positive is happening here. And let me just say this. This is what a partnership in economic development can look like. And you're seeing the results of that payoff. This is also what happens when somebody takes a risk, right? Puts capital at risk, works hard, puts a team together, and you can see results like this as well. And we're very fortunate in the state of Iowa that we see a lot of that happening. We're very fortunate for that. Very fortunate that that's happening here. So this week's really a special week in Iowa. We've got a big spotlight shining on our state right now. The World Food Prize is in town, down in Des Moines. And we've got folks from dozens and dozens of countries that are in town to have this conversation around food security. And of course, in the last couple of years, we've only had it proven to us all the more how important food security and stability and resiliency is to all of us, whether it's things like the Russian invasion of Ukraine, historic levels of inflation, supply chain disruptions to all of our lives. So we've been using the words unprecedented and historic at an unprecedented and historic level. Joe, did you get that, Joe? Okay. I would like to have an unprecedented and historic level usage of the words normal and as expected and usual. What do we think about that, maybe? I don't know. I think that's life right now. I think that's life. I think that's what we have to do, is to manage the things that we can and deal with the risks accordingly. We have a focus on Iowa. And so what folks are going to learn about Iowa this week, and if they're new to the state, is that we're an agriculture-based state. That'll become very obvious. Of course, we've got the Dr. Borlaug, an Iowa farm kid that went on to save more lives than any other human in our history because of his work around agriculture science. And he serves as an inspiration for generations now of hunger fighters who are carrying that work out now all around the world. But what they're going to learn is that we're an agriculture state. They're going to probably hear that we produce a lot here. We're number one in corn production. We're number two in soybean. We're number one in pork and eggs and ethanol and biodiesel. And we're really proud of the amount that we produce. But you know what I'm most proud of? How we produce those things. With our focus on sustainability, with our focus on taking care of our natural resources, our soil and water. If we do not protect our soil and water, we do not have an agriculture. And if we do not have an agriculture, there's a giant hole in Debi Durham's economic plan for the state of Iowa, right? We need that. And so what we're going to do is also be able to showcase how we do things in the state of Iowa. I like to say in Iowa, bio-based and renewable means something. These aren't just words that we talk about in theory. These are things that we do. People put capital to work. There are jobs that are created. There's communities that rely on these things. There's family farms who rely on industries that are associated with bio-based and renewable. And of course, at the end of all of this, yes, there's economic activity. Yes, there's jobs. Yes, there's important markets for farmers. But at the end of that supply chain is a consumer somewhere in the world. And we've always got to remember that consumer needs what we do. In fact, I will say this, we are all a part, in the agriculture space, the single most important economic activity on the planet, agriculture. Agriculture has the ability to lift more people more rapidly than any other activity on the planet. Think about that. Think of all that comes after somebody has access to the nutrition that they need. And so that's what's at stake here. That's what we're talking about when we come and we look at a beautiful facility and we talk about all the investments that are being made here, but there's a consumer somewhere in the world that needs what's going to happen, what is happening here and what's going to happen here even more so. And that's something that we can all be very, very proud of. So I just want to add my congratulations to the AgCertain team, everyone involved, Dan and the team. I'm very impressed. I had a chance to walk around. I had a chance to look west and see what's coming, and I'm excited about that. But really, I want to congratulate all of the partners who have been involved in making this happen. Thanks for being here to celebrate.
Our next speaker, I always have her bio at the ready. She's a longtime friend of mine personally. She's a friend to all of you as well. And she's a friend to Iowa industry and Iowa communities because she understands the power and the impact of strong economic development and strong community development. And so it's my pleasure to introduce my friend, Debi Durham, the director of the Iowa Economic Development Authority and the Iowa Finance Authority. Debi, come on up.
Well, good afternoon, Secretary Naig, elected officials, and so many friends. It is indeed a pleasure to be here today. You know, our team does enjoy visiting communities to celebrate good news. And few things energize me like recognizing Iowa companies on the rise, along with the environment we've created as a state to nurture them. So today, we celebrate AgCertain, a relatively young company, but doing really big things, and that's not surprising for any of you who know Dan O. AgCertain makes specialty oils and refines glycerin for everyday use from bioproducts and for ethanol and biodiesel. Just a few of the things. I know they have many more things in the works. The company's recent purchase of Maytag Dairy Farms, the maker of Maytag cheese. I couldn't be happier because it is my go-to Christmas gift for my out-of-state relatives. But the plan to bring new jobs, expand production, and keep, quite frankly, an iconic Iowa company in Iowa. So thank you for that. But of course, the reason we're here today, AgCertain is growing its Boone footprint with the purchase of the certified site here. Every win for AgCertain is a win for Iowa because the company checks so many boxes for economic development. Innovation, agriculture, biosciences, manufacturing, and sustainability. Renewable chemicals hold great promise for our nation. It is expected to become a $250 billion industry. And for Iowa, the epicenter of it all, this means countless numbers of new jobs and innovation. Iowa already has a lot for us in attracting and keeping companies like AgCertain. We have the right access to raw materials. We're a national leader in producing corn and soybeans, the feedstocks used to make renewable fuels. We also have the right infrastructure, workforce, and access to world-class research institutions like Iowa State down the road. But in Iowa, we don't just wait and hope for growth of a budding industry, we actually make things happen. That is why we worked together with legislators years ago to create an incentive program to help us build the renewable chemicals industry today. AgCertain was an early adopter of Iowa's Renewable Chemical Production Tax Credit, which the U.S. Department of Agriculture recently named the nation's strongest state incentive for the bio-based chemical industry. To further meet the needs of this important industry, Iowa also has 28 new certified sites. EDA certified site program is about providing project-ready locations that make it easier for businesses, especially those in key industries, to expand and locate in Iowa. You know, early on in my tenure, we lost a project and final negotiations become some unsettled issues with the land where the businesses wanted to locate. I vowed that that would never happen again, and the state certified site program was born. It's hard to believe that that was over 10 years ago. We often talk about certified sites as a strategy to draw new companies to Iowa. And sure, we all love the new big deals that we announce, but I always say that economic development is about taking care of your own backyard first. We must make sure our communities are places that people want to live. Places like Ames and Boone are thriving communities that are investing in their quality of life, from beautiful parks and trails, art festivals, and great job opportunities, and affordable housing. We also must make sure businesses have what they need to grow. And we're so lucky to have local and state leaders who invest in our business climate so that companies like AgCertain can prosper right here in Iowa. Together, AgCertain and Iowa represent the future of the biochemical platform. Entrepreneur Wayne Heising once said, "Some people dream of success while other people get up every morning and actually make it happen." So I am so glad that AgCertain and Dan O are making it happen, success happen right here in Iowa. Thank you.
So maybe the real reason you're all here is to hear our next speaker, Dan O, President and CEO of AgCertain. I would quickly distinguish Dan as a visionary leader, community builder, and no matter where he goes, he wants his community and the business community to be great. And so when he told me he was doing this project a few years ago, I was thrilled that he was staying in the region, because I know the impact, and I think we all understand the impact that strong private sector leadership can have in building community. And that's certainly what Dan's vision is to do here at AgCertain. He's going to tell you a little bit more about it right now. Please give him a hand.
Thanks, Dan. Can you hear me in the back pretty well? Okay, good. So first of all, if you're in this room, we're really glad you're here. And you're here because in some way or another, you've been helping us or Central Iowa grow and get bigger, better, and stronger. So thank you for being here and being part of what we're doing. And my name has been said too much. This room here is really what is making it all happen. We've got folks from all assets of the community, whether it be capital or associations or governments or vendors who we work with, people contracting, insurers. There's a huge long list, and I won't attempt to try and list everybody individually, just not possible, but we did try. So if you look at the vendor list back in the back and the association list and government list we have, we tried to just in the last 3 1/3 years list all the folks that money has exchanged with. And money exchanging means that something that mattered happened. That's all I mean by that. Or that somebody helped us with a variance, or with a permit, or with something that had to happen for us to actually get it done. So it's a big deal that we all work together, no matter what the business is. You know, business is the underpinning of everything. If we're not making money, there aren't any taxes. If there aren't any taxes, there's nothing happening in the community. It all happens with folks who are in this room and people like us who are generating value across the economy. So thanks for being here, and let's think about that as we're working through, because we're just a piece of the value chain that is growing in a particular space that I think affects Central Iowa and the Midwest in an important way, but we're just a piece of it. And we'll talk about that as we go through. But take a look at that, and then when you think about economic development, so economic development, which many of us in this room are involved in as part of our community service, when a business succeeds, money flows. It funds families, it funds communities. It's what Debi and Mike and Dan and so many people in the room are involved in every day. And if we don't have an environment that's friendly, it's hard to do. Now, we have to behave. We got to do things the right way. We have to keep all of the constituents in the right mindset, and we do as we run through. So with that in mind, we're going to try and do a couple things today. One is tell you who AgCertain is, so that as you think about us and you're trying to figure out how to do business with us, or maybe you got a family member that needs an internship, who knows, you can match things up or send them in another direction. But I want to talk about that. As I talk about us, I think we're also talking about one of the ways that agriculture in Iowa is moving, and agriculture, food, oleochemicals, animal feed, products like that as a whole are also starting to adapt to. So that creates economic opportunity for all of us to think about in terms of whether it fits. So we are, by our nature, a specialty products business. So at our higher level, we're trying to help elevate agricultural opportunity, make a lot of money, and as we do it all together, create a more vibrant Iowa in terms of agriculture, food, and ag fitting together. So we've got to be agile, we've got to be aligned with our supply chain, and we've got to be accountable. But what I'm really talking about is tailored, customized products that traditionally are commodity by scale in the way you process, but every day now people are showing up saying, I want something to be treated a certain way. I want it grown a certain way. I want it managed a certain way. I want to know that the environment was okay. I want to know people weren't hurt or abused. Well, that all comes back to traceability. And when we were all growing up, it was bigger is better. So things became commoditized. And as we commoditized, we got into huge operations which make sense economically, but make it very hard to be customized. So that created the opportunity for AgCertain to come in and take that knowledge around industrial processes and create customized solutions that sit together on the site. And as we talk about our future, we'll talk about what we're going to do on the site and expand it. But ever more integrated, you've still got to be large, you've still got to be very capable. And integrity of product and supply chain is ever more important. So half of our business is industrial processing, and half of our business is traceability. So when you think about that, you look at the scale around here, think about stuff that back in the 70s and 80s might have worked because scale was smaller. That's kind of our size, except we're putting it all together in sets and systems that work to get to big top 100 consumer packaged goods and food companies. And I don't know, but I would bet that people in this room have our product in their house right now. So that's kind of cool. Secondly, one of the things we're really happy about is that we are economically contributing back to the community in the area. So we're not going to share our financials or other things, but what I will say, which some of you might understand, is that we've been operating for 3 1/3 years. We've consumed all of our NOLs that we can do, and we're paying net income tax. So that opportunity is what Debi's supposed to be delivering, by the way. So check that off. Tell the governor that she did her job. But that also shows the economic opportunity around what we're doing and others are doing too. So we're here. We're also in Ames. We're also in Newton. So we're all about central Iowa and the Midwest. And we're in the cultivation corridor, at least as it's generally defined. And that is part of why we're here. We're here because of the aggregation of opportunity, people, and talent. We've got 2 brands. We've got our top-level brand called AgCertain, which is all about agricultural certainty. It's just a compound word, but that is the essence of who we are. And a few months ago, in combination with our investing partner, Midwest Growth Partners, we acquired Maytag Dairy Farms. Okay, blue cheese and oil make pretty good dressing if you like blue cheese. Has anybody else wondered why we did that? What do you think? Well, we love the business and we love the product, but at the same time, AgCertain hasn't been around very long. We got an 81-year-old national brand, and we are going to be delivering many, many tailored high-end food products. So you're going to see over the next year Maytag Farms in the market, as well as Maytag Dairy Farms. Generally, it'll be the same mark. It will just be missing dairy, but that will help us get the really high-end products that we're already making here out to the public when they want to buy directly from us. So you're going to see Maytag Dairy Farms grow in its own opportunities, but you also see our brand. At the same time, we're highly certified. So we deliver kosher product, halal product, organic, non-GMO. We're SQF certified, which is food safety. Different products may have some combination or other, or not at all, because we'll also happily do conventional products. We're generally indifferent to whether it's one or the other certification or not at all. We're totally focused on it being exactly right as it runs through. So back to customized and tailored solutions. So we talked about this before, but when you start thinking in your own businesses around flexible and tailored, many of you who are in hard goods or machinery or otherwise have already had to manage this. Think about airlines, building airplanes. They've had to trace stuff by the part forever. We chose to start in liquids and bulk grain. Liquids and bulk grain are some of the hardest places to maintain any identity or segregation. And as we figure that out, you'll see us bring online ERP systems and marketing channels that follow that. So we're hook, line, and sinker on Boone. It's a great place to be. And the certified site mattered to us when we selected this business. We hoped that if we were strong enough before somebody else came in and snatched it up, we'd have the opportunity to do that. So because we don't have a natural point to do a groundbreaking ceremony or a ribbon cutting scenario, we thought we'd anchor around the work that we've been doing lately. And there are a couple families and the Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad that have assisted us. So let's go to the Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad. I think you're here. Anybody here still? Go ahead and stand up. Everybody stand up. I think we might have had some other gentlemen in earlier. You may not know it, but they have a commercial short line as part of their business. Now, many of us went out and saw Thomas Tank Engine and went out for a nice night cruise. However, we couldn't operate if they weren't out here bringing our rail cars in and out. And one of the investments depended on their ability to continue that. So really thankful for them. And they also have been very cooperative as we've done some of our acquisition here, enabling us to have some small slices of land that we need to be able to put our rail lines and connect into there. So thank you for doing that. Alan in particular has been very helpful. And then we also worked with the Graybaugh and Munson families. I think Dr. Munson's here. Where are you at? So Dr. Munson and the Graybaughs are examples of people who've been in the Boone area a long time, very focused on economic development. They have made compromises and they have worked out a deal with us. We may or may not have been their best choice, but we're really glad they picked us because they're allowing us to pursue this vision, which I think they bought into. So thank you for doing what you have. And because of them and Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad and others, we've already aggregated a little over 120 acres, and we're going to keep going in terms of aggregating land as the opportunity comes available. That is sufficient for us to proceed over the next several years with many of the integrated products that we're going to produce and build. And back to that vendor list, we'll keep relying on those folks and add others in as we grow. But, and I was taught not to use but seriously, Boone's a great place to come to. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the ever-growing metropolitan area. People might like to say micropolitan, but I think it's metropolitan, Mike, between Boone and Ames. And when you think about Boone and Ames, Story and Boone counties, the interoperability of the cities, and the growing footprint of really smart people that's getting close to 250,000 people, depending on how you want to count it, it's a wonderful place to be. You can be in Ames, you can be in Boone, you can have workers in either area, you've got affordable housing opportunities, you've got State Road 30, Interstate 80, we've got the Union Pacific Railroad here. There are thousands of students coming out of DMAC in Iowa State every year. Even if they don't graduate, they're here and we get to hire them. It's a really good flow of all the different kinds of capital that are needed. And we've seen that before, and we're going to keep doing that. We're also in the center of agriculture, which is, of course, is Iowa, but also one of the things we do is take crude glycerin out of biodiesel factories or biodiesel refineries. And we're in one of the best places for that to be. So as you think about how we go to market, we have 4 refineries here. So refining is really a purification business. We get something done that's crude and we purify it to the standard we need to have. Crude glycerin is broadly available. We've got a logistics advantage here, and on an increasing basis, we have a logistics advantage on all kinds of specialty oils. And what a wonderful thing it is to be right next door to PDM. Terry, are you here? Terry Goodman? Okay, so we're not owned the same way, but we do a lot of business together. And that was another reason to be here, because product that gets refined here may end up in their asset as they package and move stuff through. So we're also, as a community, trying to make it more efficient to do business with the big guys. So we've got 3 oil refineries. We have been on a large capital campaign for the last 3 years, and it's going to continue. 7 and 8 figure kind of investments annually as we've been running through, and we see that just not stopping. So some of the products you might see as you're coming through end up in healthcare goods, food. When you go back home, start looking around and see what glycerin's in. Just start looking at the back of all the stuff that you have and see if it's in the ingredients. We find that glycerin's an essential part of our lives. And on the edible oil stuff, supply chain integrity is a big deal. We have been processing sunflower oil out of the Ukraine. Ukrainian sunflower oil. So who would have guessed that stuff would end up coming all the way over and coming here? Well, as a country, we want that product. And as a supply chain, this area of the country is a very good place to do it. But we also do things for flavor and fragrance. We've done watermelon oil, you've got corn oil running through here, soybean oil, organic oils. Sometimes oils going into biofuels. So being flexible and nimble has allowed us to adjust. And this place is designed to be that way. That's great because it puts a basic cash flow out there so we can continue to grow on our own. So just a small example, I hope some of you can read this even in the back. We're just going to continue to invest in our core industrial capabilities. And at the same time, we're beginning to plan a campus that will be out there. So this is an economic engine that's right here. And any of you have seen Harry Potter movies, you know, those purses and otherwise you stick your hand into, or a tent you go into and it's huge on the inside. That's what you'll feel like when you go in here. This is, it looks like a big pole barn, but when you go inside, you're gonna see a massive amount of capital, equipment, and capability. I don't think I need to list all this, but we'll continue to build this out, and there's a huge footprint already moving to the west. And then we will, on the land that we've acquired, continue to grow. So we're in the second of 3 phases, just the refinery. We'll be adding another rail line. Tank farm's gonna get built in a big way so we can also use it as a terminal. We are adding fundamental processing capabilities to improve the ability to take a wide range of biology and run it through our systems, most of which is grown in the Midwest or the Plains. And we'll be expanding our warehousing and a little bit of packaging that we otherwise can't do elsewhere. So when you think about the industrial park, the footprint's a big deal. And we're talking about the lower section here, where you see colored blocks. And we're intentionally not exact, partly because we still have to do some planning, and partly because we just want to be illustrative. However, these assets all sit together naturally. As we do one activity, we end up with wastewater or byproducts or co-products, and we need to end up in a zero waste sort of way, partly for profitability, but also for environmental reasons. And again, the city of Boone's been great in working with us, and we're collaborating when we think about wastewater and other activities like that over time, but we plan to put in place a bioprocessing facility for wastewater. We'll take that water, run it into biogas so we can generate power for our own site and sell it off. We'll be taking water and putting it into fermentation. We also plan in the western zone to put in place flexible crushing capability for specialty oil seeds and oil seeds focused on renewable products. And we'll get into oleochemistry. So one of the things you really want to do with high-end oils is split them apart. Get into specialty fatty acids, get into lecithin, get into a lot of other activities that end up becoming quite valuable on a small volume basis, and all that value basically stays in the area. Investors in AgCertain are all Iowa-based investors. The employees are here at the university. We already have some employees working from Brazil who came through Iowa State and are going back there, and that's a natural place for us to do business with. We'll soon have folks in Western Europe who came through school here and are going back, and we're slowly setting up our systems overseas. So every year or two, we plan and fully expect to put in a large process that will feel similar to the footprint that you see here, and they'll all be interconnected together as we go forward. And I don't think we're going to end at 120 acres. The opportunity is very large in this area, in this part of the country, but that's where we're starting. John, you got anything else you think we should say?
Good job, you got it.
Mike Kemery? The Kemery family's invested, Midwest Growth Partners are invested. By the way, if you're thinking about selling your business or getting some money from somebody, I'll talk to either of these two, but in particular John. And this room right here is a wonderful room to do business with. So if you want to be in this area, if you want a high likelihood of success and reasonable people to do business with, this is it. Okay, I think we got another raffle thing to do. Who's got the basket? We're gonna go over here to Shane, GNB Bank. He's hiding behind the screen. So while he's waiting, why are we here today? One, it's to celebrate Boone and what's going on here, to say thank you to all of you, at least with the free lunch. Say thank you to the Munson and Graybaugh family and Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad, all the contractors and folks in the room, and to ask you to continue to support business in general in the area and think of us as you've got opportunities, which can include people who need an internship. So not only are we always hiring folks, every year, including our first summer, we've had an internship program. This year we'll have 24 to 30, at least that's our goal. People get put right into an active job and they have a special project over the summer. You can send me an email. We've got other folks here. We still have maybe half the slots open. So we'd love to have anyone, and we go all the way from right after high school through PhD. So we know, and we consider it a community service. We know that many people who come to an internship are just getting upskilled. That's what happens to somebody right after high school. But gosh, if you can get somebody an internship early in their career, it builds.